Hello, my name is Derek Spendlove, the Director of the Baking and Pastry Arts program at Sullivan University. Welcome. Today we're going to demonstrate how to decorate a cake. Very simple process. You notice I just put gloves on. I think that's one of the most important things, especially in food service today, is just wearing the gloves and get used to that, because we're going to be handling food that we're actually not going to be cooking. So let's take you through some steps, some easy steps that you can actually use. Today we have a yellow cake or a chiffon cake. It's a nice rich cake. It's about 8 inches in diameter here. Some of the tools that we're going to be using will be a serrated edge knife. Now, the serrated edge knife is ideal for this preparation because we're going to be able to get a nice clean cut through your actual cake. I'm actually going to be using a bench scraper, a comb, and we're also going to be using a palette knife, and that will be helping us to actually flat ice this particular cake. So to get started, there's 2 techniques you can use. One, with your glove on, you can place your hand on top of your cake. Then from that, you can use your serrated edge knife and cut very slowly without putting a lot of pressure. Everybody wants to put pressure on thinking it's going to move. It will not. Just simply glide along. And in order to get it nice and level, we're not trying to force the knife through it. We're allowing the knife to do all of the work. So we're going to do this all the way through, like this, and like magic, hopefully we get a nice layer. And if you see the thickness of that, it's actually all the same. So follow that technique and it will work for you. We're going to place that particular layer on our table. Now the second part I shared with you, as I pointed out, you can put your hand on the top of the cake, or you can get another cake board and place that on top like that. Then you can place it here like so, and if you think of safety, that actually is probably a safer way to do it. Now I will ask you all, please do not place your hand like this. This will be an incorrect position because your knife could actually move and actually cut you. So place it on top and you will remain safe. So for this, once again, we're scoring it basically all the way around the side, because now we are in control of the thickness of the cake that we would like to have. Okay, we'll take this through, and yes, we have it done. Once again, nice layer, and we will place this on your table. From there, we will remove any of your crumbs, because what we do not want to see happen is crumbs to appear inside or outside of your cake as we're decorating. So we've split our cake in thirds. And the next step is to take a little bit of maceration. What is maceration, you may ask? And that really is a great question, because you know, maceration is something that we use to add moisture. We can add flavoring to it. And these are key elements, because you make a cake and sometimes it can be a little dry. So what can you do? You can take some sugar, some water, maybe a little zest of orange or a little zest of lemon, and put it on the range and cook it till it comes to a boil. Allow it cool down, and suddenly you have what we have here, which is a little bit of syrup, sugary sweet syrup. Now you select the flavoring. I've chosen to go plain here today, and then from that, and it's nice and cool again, I'm using a pastry brush. Now with the pastry brush, I'm dipping the actual brush into the syrup, lifting it up, and you'll notice how it's dripping. Now visualize this. If I was to place this directly onto the cake, what will happen? I'm going to have one portion of my cake that's going to be more like a wet sponge. So I want to avoid that. What I'd like to do is take it up. I'm going to take the brush, the side of my bowl, and then dab it very gently. And that will release some of the nice sugary syrup to moisten my cake. Got an itchy nose. Sorry, guys. Back on the session. We're going to do that with all 3 layers. So once again, lifting, dabbing it on all the way across. Now there is another technique. You can also use what we call a spray bottle. place this in your spray bottle and mist it over your cake. That's probably an easier way to do it. Certainly it's a faster way to do it, and you certainly will have a nice even finish on it. But today, I use a brush. Now we put that to one side, and now we're ready to decorate. So we have our 3 layers. For decoration, I'm going to use a palette knife. I need to use a small spatula, and I'm using some cream here. A little bit of fresh cream. I've whipped it to a stiff peak. And if you look at it, stiff peak, notice how it creates that nice peak, and that's what gets its name, stiff peak. And that's the level that we would like it to be at. If it's too soft, I'm not going to be able to decorate it. If it's too heavy, I'm going to have issues. Okay? So this is about the right consistency. What I'd like to do in this case is I'm going to just simply place one good blob of cream. Enjoy your experience doing this because it's actually a lot of fun. Take your palette knife and you want to hold it using your hand, and I like to hold it with just one finger on it. All right? And as you can see, this is the position that you need to hold it at. Not down here, it is really hard to hold it, but right up here at the handle. When I do this, I just want to spread the cream out all the way out. Now, don't try to force it all the way out to the edge. We just simply want to get it where it reaches just to the lip of the edge of the cake. From there, today we have a special treat. We're going to use fresh raspberries. Now we're going to place our fresh raspberries in here, like so. You could also use, if you didn't choose to want to use fresh raspberries, how about using raspberry preserves? Or maybe other flavorings like different, like apricot preserves you could use in there. That's a nice balanced profile as well. So once we have our raspberries here, we're going to place the second layer. We're sort of going to jiggle it into place like so. Now, if you wish, you can go back and use your cake board. You can place that, and that makes sure it's nice and level. Sometimes when you use your hands, you can put a little bit more weight on it. So by the actual cake board, it keeps it level. And we're going to do the same thing all over again. So once again, one mound of cream. Spread it out like so. And back with fresh raspberries. Doesn't that look so good right now? Really full of flavor. This idea of cream, fresh raspberries, nice chiffon cake, maceration so it's nice and moist. And the nice thing about it is you can do it. Just simple process. Now, remember what we said, if we put our hand on it, see what can happen? I can lean this way. Look at that cake. Not so good. May have issues. So we're going to help you out with that. We're going to actually lift it up like so, and I'm going to go back with our cake board. Place it down, and guess what? Just jiggle it back in place. Now that's the reason why I didn't take the cream all the way out to the edge. Remember, if you think about it, when we put the first layer of cream on, we only took it out about 1 finger thickness away from the edge. Okay? So here we are. So we have built our layers. 3 layers, macerated, cream, raspberries. Now the fun begins. We actually start flat icing. Now this cake alone, we are going to put cream on top. How much cream? Well, a cake, an 8-inch cake normally goes about 1 pint of cream. Okay? And it's okay to go a little heavy. There's nothing wrong with going heavy. We can always remove it if need be. Again, I like to use a nice clean palette knife, and I place it on like so. And first thing I do is I want to do the top first. So I want to get it nice and level like so. I'm going to go all the way around and allow it to drop on the sides. You notice how it's dropping there? That's important because now I've got a nice top flat, and I can go back with my cream, and all I'm going to be using is the first probably 2 inches of my palette knife, and I'm actually going to swing over. And that feels a little awkward maybe at first, but once you get used to it, it works out really well. So again, I'm going to place it on here. Now with that little bit, I'm not trying to flat ice the entire cake at once. I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. So once again, cream on the palette knife and placing it on the side. You notice how we're just doing a little bit at a time, like so. Moving right along to the next one, and we will continue that until we have the entire sides completed. Again, when we decorate, many times we're nervous about how much cream. Is it too much? Is it too little? Believe it or not, I'd rather have too much than too little. I don't want to really see the side of the cake. Okay, so now we're at a great stage. We have placed the cream on the side of the cake. We have placed the cream on top, but it still looks a little rough. I have an easy way around that. I use a bench scraper. And what I would like to do is just simply moisten it, and I place it right at the side of my cake, and all I do is that. And I use my turntable for my advantage. You notice how the sides are now starting to come along? And I got a little bit of cream left. That's it. So before I do any more, now that I know my sides are fairly even, I'm going to use this comb. Now, the comb has the 3 different sizes on it: small, medium, and large. I like to use the medium. Now, the key of using a comb, which is quite interesting, think about it this way. How do you comb your own hair? Interesting. How would I reflect that onto my cake? Because if I position my comb upright and pull, it's going to be pretty painful. But if I lean it closer down, it's going to be a little bit easier. So let me show you what I mean by that. If I pull it out this way, what am I actually doing? I'm dragging the cream. Look how much cream I've taken off. But if I do it the other way, and actually place the comb parallel to the cake and run it around really gently. Now remember, you've seen it a couple of seconds ago. Look how much cream has come off now. Minimum. So again, the technique of using a comb is really important. So this is our combing technique, and you're left with what you see here today. From there, I'm going to ask you to all clean your palette knives, because a palette knife clean is so much easier. And I like to use a little handy wipe here. Start off clean. Watch your station. Make sure you're keeping yourself nice and clean, because we don't want any crumbs to come into your product. Now the fun begins. How do you level? A lot of people will come this way, a lot of people will go that way. And that's really a personal choice. But let's talk about how you do it. This is your palette knife that allows you the ability to create a flat surface. So the closer I go to the cake in angle, the flatter your cake will be. If I want to remove cream, all I will do is change the angle of my palette knife. So I'll demonstrate that with you now. I would like to remove this lip that you see along the cake. In order for me to do that, I'm actually going to have the palette knife at a slightly different higher angle. So I will do that and push it away. So I'm left with this very sharp edge. I'll do the same thing all the way around. Each time I do it, I will ensure to clean the palette knife. At that point, you are complete. Do not try to work too heavily with it. Don't go overboard with it, because we're going to be decorating it. So in order to decorate this particular cake, we're going to actually put a little bit of pistachio nuts around the base. So we're going to lift this cake up. We're going to clean our turntable. Now you've lifted your palette knife and your cake, and we're going to be pushing it down like so. And this helps us to create a lip on the side of your cake. We're going to do that all the way around. Now it's nice and clean. From there, we will come over and we will take some little bit of pistachio. And what we did here was we took pistachio, put it through our food processor, and we created a little bit of meal. And this adds a little bit of nice color and a nice bit of texture as well to the bottom of your cake. It also helps to hide any imperfections maybe you have. So what type of nuts? You know, almonds, pecans are great, pistachio. Whatever the nut you'd like to use, go ahead and use it at the side of your cake. Perhaps the most popular is almonds. So from there, we're going to be using our gold board, placing that up here like so. Again, using our palette knife, placing your palette knife directly in the center of your cake. Yes, it will stay. It will not move, okay? Do not fear. Place it down gently, hands away. A lot of people make a mistake because when they put it on the board, their finger goes into it. And of course, we don't want that to happen today. We're going to place it into the center of your cake and allow the palette knife to slide directly from underneath. And again, as you can see, we don't have any fingers in there. So from there, our next area is to pipe some beautiful rosettes.